24 Paul's thorn in the flesh 2 Co 12. 7 May have been an affliction of his eye or another part of his body see Act 23. 1-5. 4. 15. 6. 11 Or perhaps the false apostles and other disturbers who challenged Paul's apostleship and work. C 2 Co 11. 5, 6, 12-15. Go 1. 6-9. 5. 12. 6. 17. Jehovah, through his prophet Jeremiah, compared the hearts of the men of Judah and the inhabitants of Jerusalem to ground covered with thorns, that is, with untruth, injustice, and unrighteousness. J 4. 1-4. Compare Ho 10. 12, 13. Fittingly the replacement of thorns by trees represents the restoration of divine favor. Isra 55. 13. See bramble, briar, bush, lotus tree, weeds, thorn bush, sea bush. 3 Taverns. A resting place attested to in ancient writings, situated on the Appian Way, the well-known highway that ran from Rome to Brundisium by way of Capua. The place perhaps got its name from 3 inns, where travellers could stop to rest and refresh themselves. The site of 3 Taverns is 49 kilometres 30 miles of Rome. The marketplace of Appius was about 15 kilometres 9.5 miles farther down the Appian Way. A few Roman ruins are all that remain today at the site. Having heard about Paul's coming, part of the delegation of the Christians from Rome waited at 3 Taverns, while the rest travelled as far as the marketplace of Appius. Act 28. 13-15. Threshing. The process of releasing grain from each stalk and chaff. If gleaners had a small amount to thresh, or if the grain was of small size like cumin, or if the threshing was done secretly during dangerous times, a rod or flail was used to beat the grain by hand, either on the ground or in a winepress. JG 6. 11. Ru 2. 17. Isra 28. 27. The threshing floor, however, was the location of normal threshing operations. Usually situated on a higher elevation exposed to the wind, it consisted of a flat circular area, up to 15 meters, 50 feet in diameter, made either of stone or hard-packed earth. Threshing floors not privately owned were often clustered together near a village for communal use. The sheaves of barley or wheat, the principal grains of Palestine, were spread out on the floor today generally to a depth of 30 to 46 centimeters 12 to 18 inches. The treading by bulls or other animals, as they constantly circled the floor, gradually broke down the straw and freed the grain from the chaff. The animals were not muzzled while treading the grain. De 25. 4. Ho 10. 11. 1 Co 9. 9, 10. Threshing instruments pulled by animals speeded up the process and were more thorough than animal hooves alone. Isra 41. 15. Am 1. 3 models used in more modern times are either broad flat heavy sledges with sharp teeth of stone or of iron on their underside or frames that pull heavy cylindrical or textoid acute meter longo. Throne 1097 Threshing also illustrates the crushing treatment men sometimes mete out to others. 2 Chi 13. 7 Or the separation of wheat from chaff may depict the separation of the righteous from the wicked by Jehovah's judgment. Mount 3. 12 In yet another sense, a long and bountiful threshing denotes prosperity and Jehovah's blessing. La 26. 5. Jo 2. 24. Throat. Neck. Throne. The Hebrew term kis middle dots basically means seat 1 se 4. 13. Chetu Kai 4. 10. Or a seat of special importance such as a throne 1 Ka 22. 10. Its application is not limited to the seats of ruling monarchs 1 Kai 2. 19. Eni 3. 7. Es 3. 1. Es 26. 16. Nor does it strictly refer to a seat with a high back and armrests. Eli, for instance, while at the gate of Shiloh, fell backward from his kiss middle dots, evidently a backless seat. 1 Sa 4. 13. 18. The Greek term throneumbos generally refers to a high stool, with back, arms, and a footstool. Isaiah 14. 9 intimates that thrones were universally used by monarchs, the Bible specifically mentioning the thrones of Egypt GE 41. 40. X 11. 5. 12. 29, Assyria John 3. 6, Babylon Issa 14. 4, 13. Dar 5. 20, Persia is 1. 2. 5. 1, and Moab JJ 3. 17, 20. Archaeologists believe that they have found thrones used by rulers or their associates of all these powers, except Moab. An ivory panel, thought to depict a Canaanite throne and footstool, was found at Megiddo. Generally, these non-Israelite thrones have backs and armrests, being richly carved or ornamented. One extant Egyptian throne was made of wood overlaid with gold, while an Assyrian one was of wrought iron with ivory carvings. The throne seems customarily to have been placed on a dais, or raised platform, and in most cases a footstool was present. The only throne of a ruler of Israel described in detail is the one Solomon made. 1 Kai 10. 18-20. 2 Ch 9. 17-19. It appears to have been located in the porch of the throne, one of the buildings that stood on Mount Moriah in Jerusalem. 1 Kai 7. 7. It was a great ivory throne overlaid with refined gold with a round canopy behind it and armrests. Although ivory could have been the basic material in this royal chair, the construction technique generally followed at the temple would seem to indicate that it was made of wood, overlaid with refined gold and richly ornamented with inlaid panels of ivory. To the observer, such a throne would appear to be made entirely of ivory and gold. After mentioning 6 steps leading to the throne, the record continues. 2 lions were standing beside the armrests. And there were 12 lions standing there upon the 6 steps, on this side and on that side. 2 Ch 9. 17-19. The symbolism of the lion denoting ruling authority is appropriate. GE 49. 9, 10. Re 5. 5. The 12 lions appear to have corresponded to the 12 tribes of Israel, possibly symbolizing their subjection to and support of the ruler on this throne. Attached in some way to the throne was a footstool of gold. By its description, this ivory and gold throne, in its lofty, canopied position with the majestic lions in front, transcends any throne of that time period, whether discovered by archaeologists, depicted on the monuments, or described in the inscriptions. As the chronicler truthfully observed, no other kingdom had any made just like it. 2 Ch 9. 19. Figurative usage. Throne figuratively signifies a seat of ruling authority. 1 Kai 2. 12. 16. 11. Or the kingly authority and sovereignty itself. GE 41. 40. 1 Ch 17. 14. PS 89. 44. A reigning government or royal administration. 2 Sa 14. 9. Sovereign control over a territory. 2 Sa 3. 10. And a position of honor. 1 Sa 2. 7, 8. 2 Kai 25. 28. What is Jehovah's throne? Jehovah, whom even the heaven of the heavens cannot contain, O textoi acute miritra longo. Thumb 1098 of the covenant. When Israel would be restored from Babylon, this would not mean that Jehovah no longer purposed to be enthroned at his center of worship. As he said, in that time they will call Jerusalem the throne of Jehovah. J 3. 16, 17. Ezekiel's restoration prophecies are in agreement, for in his vision of Jehovah's temple in which no Ark of the Covenant was seen, he was told, Son of man, this temple is the place of my throne. Es 43. 7. Jehovah covenanted that the throne of David's seed should itself become one lasting to time indefinite. 1 Ch 17. 11-14. In announcing the fulfillment of this promise, the angel Gabriel said to Mary, Jehovah God will give Jesus the throne of David his father, and he will rule as king over the house of Jacob forever, and there will be no end of his kingdom. Luke 1. 32, 33. Not only would there be an inheritance of an earthly dominion on Jesus' part, but he would share Jehovah's throne, which is universal. 3. 21. Issa 66. 1. In turn, Jesus promised to share his throne of kingly authority with all those who, like his faithful apostles, were in the new covenant with his Father and who would conquer the world as Jesus had done. Thus, it would be granted to them to sit on thrones along with Jesus. Mount 19. 28. Luke 22. 20, 28-30. 3. 21. In harmony with Jehovah's prophecy through Zechariah that the man named Sprout, the builder of the future temple for Jehovah, must become a priest upon his throne, Paul records concerning Jesus. We have such a high priest as Melchizedek, a king priest, and he is sat down at the right hand of the throne of the majesty in the heavens. Zech 6. 11-13. Hab 8. 1. In addition to Christ Jesus, John saw the whole spiritual house or sanctuary of God, the faithful Christian congregation, enthroned as king priests to rule for 1,000 years. Read 20. 4, 6. 1 Pe 2. 5. As foretold in Psalm 45. 6, and applied by Paul in Hebrews 1. 8. Jesus' throne, his office or authority as sovereign, has its source in Jehovah. God is your throne forever. On the other hand, the devil, 2, provides basis or authority for his organizations to rule, as emphasized in Revelation 13. 1, 2, with respect to the wild beast that came out of the sea. The dragon gave to the beast its power and its throne and great authority. When Satan offered similar power and authority to Jesus Christ, his price was stated. If you do an act of worship before me, it will all be yours. 4.